speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while, when will the lonely voice of youth cry what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
Boom. Welcome, everybody. Man, I did not adjust my camera. There we go. Much better. It's part 3 of our 3-part series, and I think Twitter is completely broken, and probably Facebook as well. But there's nothing I can do about StreamYard not working because they suck. Oh no, Facebook works. But Twitter is broken, so that doesn't surprise me. Twitter is kind of Twittery. I did not follow their manual instructions to make Twitter work because screw them. I don't have time. So yeah, we've got our Sam Powell. Everybody should drink Sam Powell. We've got our Muppet Cup. You can get one if you don't have one. You should have one though, because they're awesome. Everybody needs a Muppet Cup. And just to remind them, we'll say, just as a reminder, got our captain's mug right here, full of mint tea. Very good mint tea, nice and hot. And then we've got our other pirate mug right here. And we've got some Westminster tea. And yeah, we're all set to go. Table Rock Tea Company, Westminster tea, quite good. Good stuff. Keeps you awake. Let's grab our favorite book. See what the heck's going on. Ooh, there's a section called Ethics. To value a person, consider the difference between how impressive he or she was at first encounter and the most recent one. Not bad. I like it. I like it a lot. Nassim Taleb to the rescue once again. Okay, let's see what's going on. So we've talked about objectivism. We've talked about materialism. And now it's time for us to talk about individualism. The 3 great isms that destroyed the universe. Excuse me. I think it's helpful to think about these as related. Not just because they're isms, we'll say, but because they all have this idea of separation in common. Individual is one of the definitions, is defined as existing as distinct or separate, which is pretty much how people are using the term individualism nowadays. And the interesting thing about that is that originally this comes from the Latin term for one and indivisible, inseparable. In other words, not divisible. But now we think it's distinct and separate. It's kind of the opposite. All right. So in other words, the Latin term means whole, right? It's one and individual inseparable. And the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, which means it's not divisible because if you cut it up, it doesn't go back together again. This is the danger in talking about something like unity, right? Because a unity is not a whole. It's not greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that is the key to understanding the problem of individualism, at least the way we are using the term, we'll say, nowadays. And the thing is, a unity is not a whole because it's what you get after you try to undo your dissection of the world. In other words, you don't need unity until you have dissected the whole. And you can't get the whole back. This is a big problem, not a little problem. This is a big problem. And the thing is, with individualism, the way we sort of come about this is this equality doctrine. We've divided the world up. It's now individuals, which are, we'll say, apart from other things in the world. And you could make the argument that, well, you can have an individual Oreo cookie, but that doesn't suffer from the same problem. But we distinguish humans from other things. In fact, from other animals. Jordan Peterson once was commenting, and this is in the Maps of Meaning lectures, was commenting on the cod. And he said, I don't think there's any such thing as a cod. The cod, the fish, only exists with other cod. In other words, there's no individual cod. And if that's true, then maybe there's no individual person either. Because I'm just going to tell you, as I've said many times before, you are not an individual. You have never been an individual. You will never be an individual. You never will have been an individual. Neither has anyone else. We are not apart from this world, and we're not apart from each other. And they sell you this idea of equal freedom. But freedom for an individual, if such a thing could exist, which it does not, would automatically be free to do anything. Because you can find some person doing pretty much anything. Some person's climbing a mountain. Some person's a fighter pilot. Some person is, a pianist. Some person can compose an excellent symphony, but they're not you. So why you should have the freedom to do that? Like I shouldn't have the freedom to play the piano because I suck at it, and it does not happen. But that would mean necessarily that you're unconstrained. And so using this idea of individualism is a way to say, well, you're all individuals, but you're all equal. And all these knock-on effects happen. Right? In other words, they're selling you equality through freedom as a way of destroying the hierarchy without actually saying they're destroying the hierarchy. They're just saying like, well, you're an individual and they're an individual. The equality kind of happens. Like, oh, label, individual. Your label, individual. We're the same. We're equal. And this is in stark contrast to somebody like Karl Marx, who just flat out says, no, I want to tear down the hierarchy. I want to tear down the system. Because actually those managers and those company owners and those board members are no more or less talented than the workers. which is observably false. The guy at the top of the company may not be able to do the work the workers can do. That doesn't make his work less valuable any more than it makes the workers' work less valuable for not being able to do his job. All those jobs are needed, and they're not equal. The unifying, because a corporation is a unification, so is a government. The unifying means that some parts are more valuable than other parts. That's what it means. So by selling you this equal freedom stuff, however they do it, through the individualism maybe doesn't really matter. They get you to destroy the hierarchy. Already, it's already done. It's finished. It's over. The minute you just label people as individuals, bang, it's all done. And the thing is, that comes with some costs, some what I think of as rather significant costs in the world. Individuals have to understand the entire world themselves in order to get the freedom to do anything. How can you choose? Because that's what freedom means. It means you get to choose if you aren't aware of what's going on. But that means you have to be aware of and have some understanding of everything in the world to achieve this wonderful freedom, because the freedom's unbounded. And if it's individual freedom, everybody has freedom, and their freedoms have to be equal because they're all individuals that really don't have any distinction. And they're not connected to anything else. They're cut off from each other and from the world. But without knowledge of what the choices are, you couldn't have choices. You couldn't have freedom. If you're not making the choice, you don't have freedom. What if you aren't able to hold an entire worldview in your head for yourself? What if you can't know the whole world? We just don't have the mental capacity to do so. My thesis is no one does, so join the club. Also, in order to get that equal freedom, or any freedom really, you need to be able to do that. Because anything that you don't see about the world might be controlling you. Do you see where the conspiracy comes from yet? And the more you learn about the world, the more you see that that equal freedom isn't there, and not just for you, but for others. And since you were sold equal freedom, and the more you look, the less you see, well. What does that mean for your equal freedom? I think it means explicitly that you were sold a bad bill of goods. When you can't be aware of and have an understanding of all the things in the world, what does that say about your agency? Maybe it indicates to you that you don't have any agency, in which case you are purely the subject of conspiracies. That would technically be true if you were trying to be an individual. You will end up a conspiracy theorist eventually, unless something kills you first, which it may. I mean, you can try to hang on to the lie of individualism a lot longer than people might think would be possible. So hopefully you can see how individualism itself drives people into psychotic conspiracy episodes. And if you need to see one of those, I have several examples. Just ask me on the Discord. I can point you in the right direction. You can watch people online all the time, just basically going schizophrenic right live. Lots of people do that. It's kind of frightening. And they're not even aware that that's what's happening. And even when they're, indicated to them that, hey, maybe They're not moving. They're pretty stubborn about it. So we sort of established based on the, you know, recent definition or change in definition of this term, the person trying to be an individual separates him or herself from the world. And the thing is, it may seem like a simple enough thing, again, the it's a big problem because what you're actually doing is you're saying you're not a part of creation. And if, you know, you're not a part of creation, you must be part of a simulation because look at all these things that are interfering with your equal freedom. You have used your power to reject being related, being inseparable to creation itself, and therefore you are in a form of creation denial. That's the result. The minute you try to separate yourself as an individual and you use this flip in the actual definition of the term individual, you suddenly aren't inseparable anymore. You're separating from creation. Because what else would you be separating from after all? And you could say, oh, I'm just separating from other people. Well, they're part of the creation too. And that sounds like the intimacy crisis to me, which happens to be exactly what it is. That's where the intimacy crisis comes from. If you're all working very diligently at being individuals, then you're all causing your own intimacy crisis, which leads to the meaning crisis. It's clear as day. In other words, in order to try to be an individual, you need to reject being a part of creation itself. It's fundamentally an identification against. As my good friend Manuel will tell you, identification against is bad. It's a tell for poor thinking and a problem. Because the number of things that's not an identifiable thing, say a Muppet cup, is infinite. Everything that's not this is identification against this in some way. So you want to see something in the world and just outright reject it so that you can be separated from it, so that it no longer has influence on you. But then you discover that's not a condition of the world. So it's conspiracy all the way down. So what are the sort of bullet point results of individualism? These things happen if you try to individuate, if you are trying to be an individual, if you are trying to act as if you're an individual. What are the non-optional components that come along with that? Well, you can't really trust things outside yourself. But you must, because again, you can't be aware of and have an understanding of the whole world. Like that's not an option that you have. The thing is, you are alone in the world. And the knowledge of yourself is up to you. And for that matter, the other thing that has to come along with this condition is knowledge is the highest value because you need it to survive. You can't rely on a safety net of persons that you're connected to, that you have relationships with, or a government that you're connected to and have relationships with. All of that is just tyranny to the individual. But you need this knowledge to survive because you have to make choices by yourself alone. And you can't trust those other things because you've separated yourself from them. And yeah, things you're separate from, you shouldn't trust. Stranger comes into town, you shouldn't trust them. That's true. That's correct. The only way to change yourself as an individual is to transcend what you are currently, which makes no sense at all, by the way, through knowledge. It's all through knowledge. Age of Gnosis, anyone? It's all right there. And it's a real problem because you can't change yourself through knowledge. You might not even be able to change yourself. Now, you may change as the result of your conditions changing, as the result of, you know, an interaction that you've had or a participation or a quality relationship. But you're not doing that by yourself. But if you're an individual, you would have to have done it by yourself. It warps the way you see the world. The other thing is you are matching the world through your own eyes instead of fitting into the world that you observe. There's a go along to get along saying. Well, it's very much true, but I don't see an alternative. If you don't want to get along, you're in opposition and you can be an individual and you can be alone and all of these other things are coming with that, whether you want them to or not. And it's because all of your perspectives start from yourself. If you are able to, by yourself, as an individual, adopt an outside perspective, so-called, which is impossible. You are inside yourself. You're never outside yourself. It's not a magic trick. It's that simple. The outside perspective would be seen as a superior position. In other words, well, I have two perspectives and you only have one. It's like, no, you have one perspective too, buddy. That's where some of the arrogance comes from. It's also a good way because some people can hold multiple perspectives on the same thing. They're just not outside perspectives. They're just multiple internal perspectives. And then they would be higher on the hierarchy, which you've destroyed because you're all just individuals. But, you need hierarchy. It pops back up. Oh, I can hold two thoughts in my head at the same time and you can't. That's what happens there. And the thing is, the people who are not you cannot be prioritized. Or you have to prioritize everyone over yourself. Ever seen that pattern? Either of those patterns? That's what happens when you try to be an individual. And it's not optional. It's not a problem to be fixed. It's going to happen if you try to individuate yourself. You're just going to run into this dichotomy and you're going to fall on one side of it or the other. Right. Jordan Peterson, care for yourself as if, you were caring for a friend. Right. Okay. That breaks out of that dichotomy, right? It folds other people and you together. Your translations and interpretations of the world, of the books, of the speeches, of the interactions are all valid. They're all valid because they're all equal because we're all individuals. So we're all in the same bucket, baby. And the side effect on that, I mean, that's already a problem. Like your translations and interpretations are not valid. I hate to tell it to you, but most of them are going to be garbage because you're garbage. You don't know anything. But the other side of that is everyone needs to have their own take. In other words, what's your opinion on X? What do you mean you don't have an opinion on X or Y thing? What do you mean? Of course you do. Well, you'd have to have one if you were an individual and you were part of this equal freedom club, which you'd have to be if you were an individual. Well, then you've got to understand the whole world. So you better have an opinion on everything. Otherwise, some shadow conspiracy might be manipulating you and you won't know it. Any of these patterns seem super anywhere? You have no agency, huh? Well, I don't know about that. Another thing is you must self-judge. But that also means others judging you is completely unacceptable. Who are they? They're just individuals and we're all equal. And we all have the freedom to judge ourselves. What are you doing? But the burden of judgment is now on you. And if you don't want that burden for anything, like maybe I don't want to judge the health of the plants in my house because I suck at gardening. And I can't put it on someone else because, I'm the individual. So what am I going to do? Oh, well, judgment's inappropriate. Now I'm off the hook. I don't have to judge the health of the plants in my house. Not a great solution. The knowledge that you have is going to end up being what makes you valuable. Because the more knowledge you have, the more freedom you have, the more choices you have, the better you are at choosing. That wouldn't even be true, but that's the rational conclusion, the logical conclusion, the reasonable conclusion. But that also means that what's not valuable in the world are things that aren't you. What you do is not valuable in the world because what you do is the result of the equal freedom that you have instantiated or manifested in the world. Value came from making the choice, the decision as an individual. But that means what you do in the world isn't valuable. Your fruits are not valuable. This is why some people go to work and, well, I just do it to make money. What? Money is not fruits. You can buy fruits with money, but money itself is not fruits. No wonder why you're depressed. No wonder why you're in an intimacy crisis. No wonder why you're an incel. You don't know how to connect to people. All you have that makes you valuable is knowledge? Like, how horrific. These are the non-optional components, the things that will inevitably happen as the result of you engaging in the idea of individualism as such. You don't even have to actively practice it in your head. You just have to say, oh, the individual exists. And then you'll misinterpret Plato's cave for sure. Because it is covered in Book 7 rather clearly. Don't believe what anybody says about it. They obviously didn't read it or are lying to you on purpose. And they may be lying to you because they didn't understand it, but still, if you're talking about something you don't understand, that's kind of on purpose. You should shut up if you don't know what you're talking about. So how do we address this rampant individualism? What do we do to break down this individual, get out of this individualistic framing? Instead of trying to be apart, look at how you are a single discernible part of a much larger whole. Discern the various types of relationships that there are around you. And then ponder the quality of each of these relationships. How much time, energy, and attention are you putting into these relationships? What kind of time? Distracted time? Focused time? Too much time on video games? How much energy are you putting into these things? How much attention are you giving these relationships? Those are just some of the ways to help you understand quality over time. It will take a while of doing this to see how these qualities manifest and what they actually are. And maybe see is the wrong word. You'll probably feel them. Instead of assuming human agency, we'll say in all things, and human intent and human rationality, see how many things are part of a pattern. You don't have to see conspiracy in AI coming to be saying, oh, look, the idea was the powers that be wanted to surveil us all. And so they let AI technology be developed. No, AI technology was developed and it can be used for that. And as all patterns, it will be used for that. My favorite example of this is I am old enough to remember when ATMs were not a common thing in the world. And you had to do your banking by going to a bank branch and talking to a human being, which I much prefer to do in my old age. And I said at the time, very clearly to everybody I could, they'll be charging us to use those some days, because in the first 20 years or so, they were free. ATMs, all ATMs everywhere were free. Everywhere. Because banks have lots of money and customer convenience is worth something to them because they think that gets them more accounts. And maybe it does, I don't know. And so they were happy to make it a loss leader for themselves. But then the technology matures, it gets a little bit cheaper, it gets a little bit more ubiquitous. But then once all the banks get it, it no longer provides the same type of value of drawing in customers because everybody has it. So you're not really drawing in customers anymore. But it's still costing you money. Someone's got to fill the ATMs up with money, sometimes in the middle of the night. Someone's got to manage all the infrastructure for the ATM networks, right? This is the big deal. Well, how do we mitigate this now overhead expense? Before it was a marketing expense, right? And it was bringing in more new customers than it was costing us to run the thing. But now that's no longer true. So of course, now they charge for ATMs. And now that sort of swung the other way, right? With, we have so much extra money, we can give it back to the people. This is one of the patterns of business that happens at the scale of business. It doesn't happen at the scale of family. It happens at the scale of business, though. So it's not human agency that we're going to invent the ATM and get everybody hooked on it, and then we're going to charge them money. Now that isn't at all what happened. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. But conditions changed, and it's part of a pattern of growth and spread in the world. And there's lots of those examples. It's not all human agency, human intent, and human rationality all the way down. Patterns are unfolding at scale as the result of things coming into being. Once you invent AI, a bunch of things are going to happen. Period. End of statement. A lot of them won't happen unless and until you hit a certain scale, right? And that's why, spending lots of money on something that's losing lots of money is not uncommon nowadays. Because that's how you bring things into being at scale, actually. Is that a good idea? Maybe not for a lot of things. Maybe AI is one of them. We could always make that case. But the pattern's going to happen that bubble cycle that everybody says, that's a pattern. It's going to happen. It's not intentional. Some people will see it and it will look like intent. A lot of people saw the crash of the Great Depression before it happened. Joe Kennedy, the father, saw that and got out days before the bubble. But that's because he was smart and saw it coming. And a bunch of other people did too. It's not unheard of. And the fact that other people didn't see it and got caught in the pattern when it exploded is not a surprise. It doesn't mean they were looking to rip people off or the bankers were stealing people's money. I mean, some of that is always happening, but that wasn't what caused it. It's just part of a pattern. And the thing is, then once you see these patterns, and there's a lot of them, you can recognize how your agency, your intent, and your rationality interacts with that pattern and how it interacts with other people and how it interacts with institutions and how it can be brought to bear to use those patterns. Oh, MicroStrategy stock is going to crash. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost for sure. Right. Oh, wow. I'm going to short that stock. Well, if you're good enough at the pattern and you know what time frame it's going to happen in, which is always the tricky part, then maybe that's the right answer. But I'd be very careful. Because you can see how the people with agency, intent, and who were rational enough saw the Great Depression coming and made a fortune in it. It's not that hard for them, but you're not them, and it might be impossible for you. But if you never look for the pattern, if you never see how things are part of the pattern, if you don't understand your own agency, your own intent, and your own rationality, then you ain't got no chance at all. And that's the individualism trapping you in a conspiracy. The world isn't a conspiracy. It's not a simulation. But you can get trapped there. If you're an individual, it will be to you. But you did that to yourself. No one did that to you. You did that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. You don't need to. The idea that there is no way out except through is the triumph of the individual over adversity. Roughly speaking, the success of the hero's journey. And if that which does not kill you makes you stronger, then double plus good. However, that sort of nonsense is a dangerous way to approach a world where you need help and where denying others the opportunity to help you deprives everyone, being itself, of a type of goodness. There's a type, a quality relationship of goodness around helping each other. Individuals make that, if not impossible, extremely difficult. Denying the creation a type of goodness. It's a big claim. Let it soak in. It's a big claim. It's not wrong. I've made that mistake many times. And there are reasons. And not because I adopted the individualist strategy, we'll say, by choice, or that I was ever fooled into believing that I was an individual, but it still made the mistake. Remember that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. When we are in communion with each other, with nature, with ourselves, and with the supernatural, which is the correct term scientifically, by the way, then we are able to knit together heaven and earth. We have a place, a home. We have a function, a purpose. Everything we do is related to that, to the creation. When all we have is our own reading of some book, we split apart. We find other translations, other interpretations of the book. We flat out follow other books. Why not? Book is a book, man. They're all equal. And we have the freedom to choose. We have equal freedom to choose and equal authority to choose for ourselves. We revere or maybe worship the written word. Propositional tyranny, anyone? At the expense of our relationship to the things around us. And you would say books are things around us. Well, let's burn them all and nothing bad will happen, I assure you. In fact, everything will improve immediately. Just look right now at what is around you. Realize why it is important to you. Dr. Viveki had this savoring thing that he did. Was it official practice? I don't recall. He said, look at your desk, connect to something on your desk. What does it mean to you? Good practice. Because memory is one way, not the only way, one way that you connect yourself not only to your past self, but also to the world around you and to other people. Which fights the individualism, obviously. You're not an individual, you're connected as a person to other persons. You're connected as a person to yourself. You're connected as a person to nature. Those are the three most important frames. Of course, I have a video on the 3 frames. See how all this integrates the world to put you inside it. So you're no longer separate, individual from the world. You're part of the world, contributing to the world, in relationship with the things in the world. It gives you a place. It puts you in a particular place in the world, in a particular way. You don't put yourself there. And so maybe it's not the way you wish. Like, I wish to be Elon Musk, but that didn't happen to me. So perhaps it's not the way you wish, but maybe it's the way that's best for you. Because others can see it, even if you cannot. Why do you think arranged marriages are back on the discussion table? You can't pick your own spouse necessarily. You make bad decisions. And maybe you'll get lucky, or maybe you think you're picking your spouse, but actually, your mother doesn't like that person and that rubs off on you. And then you decide to whatever. It's totally unrelated, I'm sure, because you made your own decision there. But there's a lot more going on than you think. And once you see all of this stuff that's around you, once you connect to it, once you understand the idea of the relationships that are around you, then suddenly you'll be part of the whole again. The domicide will vanish. The quality relationships, that intimacy, will just be everywhere for you, which is, where it should be. And you'll be able to see it. And ultimately, all you actually have to do to see it is to ditch the individualism. It's that simple. Now, hopefully, if you are getting an enhanced sense of the poetic way of informing the world, you will see how tightly these three interactions, or three last monologues, are related. How objectivism and materialism and individualism are connected to one another, and why, if you hit one, you get the other two for free as a bonus. Maybe not right away, but over time, it's going to warp the way you see the world such that that will happen to you. So that is the end of what I have to say, which is good because I need a drink. If you would like to join me, you may do so. I will pin the link because StreamYard's having an absolute meltdown. There we go. Now it's all fixed. Feel free to jump in and we can discuss your individualism and how I will beat it out of you or something. Yeah, I hope that was okay. Particularly for Ixnon, who requested these 3 topics be done in a row like that. Which I'm very grateful for because those are the easiest 3 weeks of my life here for live streams. Which was probably actually required given the all the weirdness going on. I was not having a good day 2 days ago. It was terrible. And yesterday too was terrible. Terrible days. But back on track now and got a video all queued up for Tuesday. I got another one. I'll queue that up for next Tuesday. See if I can get back on the train with making videos so that we can get them in the editing pipeline and then crank them out 2 a week or something. Also, at some point, I got to get to the I got to get another European live stream going because we need that. Ixnod, thank you, Ixnod. I'm really glad you did because for whatever reason, past 3 weeks needed that ease of use. Yeah, I did all my notes in the last today, but in the last half of today, I didn't even start them in the morning. So, but individualism is easy to talk about to some extent. I mean, these last 3, right? I talk about this stuff all the time. So it was easier to have it all in one place at one time and doing one thing sort of thing, right? So that was handy. And individualism is really pernicious. I mean, it's so baked into so much of our thought that we don't even see how it's destroying everything. Because it is actually kind of destroying everything. Which is rather unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate. And this quest to sort of have your own value by yourself on your own as an individual is just, I mean, it's so corrosive to people. It's definitely a major intimacy crisis contributor. And yeah, it just is so everywhere. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. It's sad. It's sad how we don't even notice it. It's so ubiquitous now. and it makes life harder for everybody, right? Um, I mean, how do you do the, we'll say the most important thing, which is to be better, because the world needs you. If you're trying to do it separate from the world, individual and alone, how is it that you're supposed to be able to accomplish that goal? What is it that'll allow you to do that? And I think, the short answer is Hinduism or Buddhism or, whatever kind of ism, or rocks or shells or, uh, you know, drugs, right? You go see the machine elves. I mean, I don't, it's ironic. The individualists all talk about how drugs cause you to encounter something outside of yourself that's bigger than you or whatever. And I'm like, couldn't you just go to church for that? Do you really have to like pollute your body with chemicals just to eh, like seems like a lot of work for nothing. I don't know. It's a sad thing. What do you got, Ixon? How did I do on individualism? Did that help? Did that clear anything up, or did I make things better, worse, same, samesies? Oh, I think doing these live streams is a way to fight individualism, at least for me. I did well. You are a man of too few words sometimes, sir. Um, yeah, I mean, part of the live stream project, especially early on when the live streams were quite a bit busier, was to bring people together to get them to stop getting stuck in their heads and seeing themselves apart from everything around them. Um, and limited success, we'll say, as with all things, you know. But I think that if we don't do that, if we don't do more cooperative things, we're in trouble, and we're going to be in trouble. And yeah, I saw, what was it, Break the Rules channel. I don't watch them anymore, but they came up with a live stream today about the Epstein satanic panic. And I was like, yes, that is basically what's going on here. I know Jonathan Bijot did a video a while back on the satanic panic and how it wasn't actually wrong. Like a lot of that stuff was correct. You can cry satanic panic all day long, but actually some of that stuff was satanic. And yeah, it just got overstated, much like the Epstein stuff seems to be. There's definitely a there, but a lot of it's overstated with respect to what evidence we have. Um, yeah, I don't know why ultimately we run into these problems with uh overemphasizing things, relying on evidence, right? When like okay, we have the evidence, but the government's not arresting anybody. Okay, what good did you having the evidence do exactly? None at all. You weren't the right person to get the evidence. So now you have two problems. Now you still think the thing happened, whether it did or not. Maybe you're misunderstanding the situation or reading into things. And maybe you're not, but also they're not going after them and you can't discern which. And so this is the problem of individualism. Everyone's got their own pet theory about what was happening with Epstein or what was happening with fake news virus scamdemic or what was happening during the satanic panic or why this stock went down or up or whatever. Yeah. Ixon, I can jump on in a bit and say more, taking care of responsibilities because I'm not an individual. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, if you're an individual, you get to choose what you are and aren't responsible for. And boy, do I got news for you on that front, buddy. Uh, That's not your option. There's a bunch of stuff you're responsible for as a result of your birth. So Ixnat understands this. He's not an individual. He knows that. But I think a lot of people are confused about that. But you can see why people are irresponsible, because they're individuals and they think they can choose on their own. And they think they can judge on their own. And they're judging the quote elites as pedophiles without any evidence whatsoever. Yes, they're elites, and they in email left evidence in the email of their transgressions, because wealthy people with expensive lawyers do things like that all the like. How many crimes can you find in an email? Fraud, you can uncover fraud in an email. Can you uncover sexual crimes? I don't think that any possible, even if there's a picture and it's out of context, and if you don't know where the picture was taken, you don't know where the crime occurred, you don't know what jurisdiction to apply. Like, there's a lot of problems with this evidence theory or this, facts in the world. And I think all of that actually stems from the individualism. I think the individualism gives us the idea that we understand the law when in fact, even with some of the worst things these people are talking about, no law was actually broken. I don't know what to tell you about how jurisdiction and laws work, but the reason why you can't quote chapter and verse on the law is because it ain't there. It's not there. It doesn't exist. You're just mistaken about how this works. Like, you actually think there's evidence of crimes that is prosecutable that is in an email. Very few crimes work that way. Most crimes, if I shoot somebody in the head and then I email somebody, oh, I shot this guy in the head, that's actually not evidence of a crime that's prosecutable. You would need to bring more evidence than that. That might be additional evidence to bolster the case, but you can't build a case on a personal admission, especially a private admission. You can't build a legal case on something like that. But of course, you don't know enough law to know that, because you're not a freaking lawyer. So this is just really the old Epstein thing, is really just the individualism. Just people think they know how this stuff works and know what should happen as the result and know how things should go given certain pieces of evidence. And that's just because they're morons and they have no idea. And it's too bad that burden has been placed on them, or they've placed it on themselves by trying to be an individual. It's just too bad. There's no compelling reason why they should be trying to do that. And then the problem of trust comes in. But yeah, there's a problem of trust. But the bigger problem is, as Jordan Peterson says, you don't know what you're up to, which is another way of saying you can't trust yourself. That's right. You can't trust yourself. In individualism, that's all you got. But if Jordan Peterson's right and you don't know what you're up to, then now we have two problems. And this is always the situation, right? It's always the situation. You run into this decision point. Do I believe my own perspective, my own thoughts, my own feelings, or do I trust someone else's? It's not an easy thing to resolve. And it's not that I don't think it can be resolved, because I'm sure it's easy to resolve in my mind, but I can see why people are confused. But they're really doing it to themselves. And yeah, most of them will get trapped in a conspiracy. A bunch of them will get trapped in an unimaginable level of arrogance. That's pretty common. A lot of people just read that as simple narcissism, which maybe narcissism is the better way to frame it. Narcissists tend to be arrogant, although not all of them are. Slightly different things for sure. But it's kind of important, to be able to discern these things. You've got to be able to engage with and understand these differences. Because otherwise you're not integrated to the world. You're not part of the whole. You're not a part of a whole. And you're going to fall into domicide. You're going to fall into a bad situation where you are being tyrannized by things because instead of just making a few adjustments to how you were doing things, you got plowed over by something larger than you. Because even other individuals aren't equal to you. I'm not equal to Elon Musk. Like, what are you, nuts? He could pick up the phone and buy a jet. I can't pick up the phone and buy a jet. We are not the same. It's not that hard, right? So he tweets out, millions of people see it. I tweet out, and I'm lucky if it gets 5 views, We are not the same. And it's that expectation of and that longing to be the same that causes people to act out against the algorithm or be upset about the shadow banning. And I'm going to do it. I was going to do it earlier today, but I got caught up in the Discord. I'm going to do a video on my personal channel about shadow banning because I guess that, I mean, they're not new insights for me or anything, but I had a few insights where I was like, oh, maybe people don't know this. Because it's very technical. I mean, it's not technical as in bits and bytes, but it's technical as in how businesses and social media things work. So at some point on my personal channel, I'll put that up. I might record it this weekend, but I think I need to because I'm dealing directly with Twitter about shadow banning. And after telling me they definitely don't shadow ban, they somehow magically fixed my account to some extent. I don't know how fixed it is. But like a little weird, oh, we don't shadow ban and oh yeah, we're gonna give you to a human, and then all of a sudden, like my feed is totally different. I'm like, a little weird. You don't shadow ban, but the minute I mention shadow ban, my entire feed changes. The amount of data you're sending me changes, just like that. A total coincidence. Oh, and by the way, they never got back to me. They're like, oh, someone's gonna contact you in DMs. I'm like, oh, okay. Nope, didn't happen again. They keep doing this. They keep, oh, just call this number or to talk to this thing, and nope, it never works. Tweet to here. Never worked for me. Never. Till the other day, to be fair. Finally, after 2 years of complaining, I don't know. It's better than nothing, I guess. If that's a deliberate act, and it might be, this is not a deliberate act by Twitter, more likely than not. To what extent do they still have spies in the system? What kind of back doors are in there that aren't straightforward? And I don't have equal access to Twitter's help. Obviously, some people have gotten help from Twitter over the past 2 years that aren't me. So, I'm not an individual. I'm trapped in Twitter. I'm trapped in Facebook. I'm trapped in StreamYard. StreamYard's such a pain in the teeth lately. It's unbelievable how bad it's gotten. Um, I'm trapped in the YouTube I mean, yeah, because I choose to engage and then I just take the hits because the hits keep coming and ain't nothing I can do about it. And at least I know I'm not alone. And the irony of individuals uh, imagining conspiracy theories that always cracks me up because it's like, okay, so you think all individuals are equal except these 9 guys with cigars in a room. They're apparently manipulating something in the world. But you aren't? Is that because you're not able to? Or like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm always like, this seems like contradictory and confusing. And you people just look like confused lunatics. Help me out. And it turns out they can't help me out. And that's why I'm quite convinced they're just confused lunatics. Because it seems to be what they are. Which is kind of sad, right? Kind of sad. But also, what do you want me to do about it? Confused lunatics confirmed. And that's really the call it the fundamental essence. There's no particular reason for people to be stuck in a frame of individualism, in a frame where they're alone in the world and all of the forces of the world are arrayed against them or interacting with them in a way, or there's no reason for that. It really is something that people have to kind of choose from. And I've met a lot of people who aren't into this individualism. They think it's crazy and it's frightening to them. And I like, that's awesome. So much hope for those people. They're doing fine. It really is just, and it's not, I don't know how big the numbers are, but it doesn't seem to be a huge number of people, but it seems to be a lot of loud people. And that's always a problem. We can't tell large numbers from loud numbers. And not just in that, but in anything. And I think you run into problems when you can't tell large from loud. It's not lots of people. It's a few people yelling. And then we get a warped view of the world, and well, if we're all equal and they can yell, then maybe I can yell. And well, I mean, you can, but is that good? Because that's the other problem with equality is there's nothing higher or lower. It's just if somebody else does it, I can also choose to do it. And there's nothing, because you're measuring, because you've removed measure by stating equality. All your measurements are not only arbitrary, but they're random. They're arbitrary and random. Like, you won't measure the same thing the same way twice, and you won't necessarily, and you won't measure all things. You'll only measure certain things. And that's going to cause all kinds of problems. I mean, if you look around, you can define a lot of the problems by that conundrum. And that's why it's super important to try to fight this individual tendency, this separation from the world. It's vitally important, in fact, that you find a way to purge that out of your thinking entirely. Not, again, not just, we'll say, from your quote actions, but also from your way of actually thinking in the world. And the other sort of problem with individualism is, why are you helping other people if we're all equal? You can fix yourself and they can fix themselves. And it really does remove charity from the world, or caritas, if you want to be more precise in your Latin. And I like this is just another virtue removed from the world, because individualism removes a bunch of virtues from the world. It's super corrosive. It's super corrosive to the world. It's unbelievably corrosive. And it's kind of sad that so many people are doing it. That so many people are so stuck in that way of thinking, in that, oh, we're individuals, we're all individuals now, yay, that makes me equally free. And the equal freedom thing, man, that just hit me today. I was like, oh, equal freedom, that's what it is. It's equal freedom. Man, that really helped. I was like, wow, that just snaps into a bunch of things. And maybe it won't for you, and fair enough, but keep it in mind, because I think the more you, just like individualism, right? You keep that out of your mind. You keep this, oh, that's that snake oil called equal freedom. And then you look around, you'll see the world in a different way, I think, over time. And then you'll be like, oh, and then you'll be able to spot a bunch of, oh, that sounds like equal freedom. Let's stay away from that. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to have to make so many choices, and to know so many things in order to make so many choices, and to have to blame your bad choices on a lack of information or knowledge, or, because what is it with Epstein already? Oh, they've got, I think somebody said they had 14 terabytes of data or something, just ungodly numbers. I'm like, here's the problem. Let's suppose it's 1.4 terabytes of data. You ain't reading that ever. Like, that ain't gonna happen. So unless it's all videos or something, that's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of text. I mean, you can always blame whatever theory you have not working out on a lack of information, because everybody knows that knowledge is just one piece of information away from being confirmed. And so if it's not confirmed, it's clearly we just didn't do the right scientific test. We don't have the right papers. We didn't look at the right evidence. Someone's withholding something. It's those, 12 guys in a room with cigars. Sure. Sure. I mean, why not? That's where else is this going to end? There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
It's
Anyway,
bright out there.
it is. It's bright. The sun is getting ready to go down for a while. So,
Oh yeah, it goes down extra long.
yeah, and it always stays low to the horizon. So,
Mm-hmm. That was one of the shocking things about down south as opposed to up north. It's
mhm.
like the noon sun is way up there. It's like, what's it doing there?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, in New England it doesn't get that high. Like,
it's nice.
what's happening?
You get closer to the equator than here, and the sun like comes up and goes down like quickly. Here it
Yeah.
lazily rises, then lazily goes down.
Yeah, that was a nice thing about Scotland. The sunset lasted about an hour or two. I'm like, what is happening? When is the sun going
Mhm.
down? This is awesome. You get that golden hour is an actual hour, right?
Right. Yeah.
Down here, it's like 7 minutes. You get
Mhm.
7 minutes, buddy. That's about it. Yeah, Hawaii was the same way. I got all these shots in Hawaii of the sun going down over the water
Mhm.
because I was on the north side of the island, and very unique place because you can watch the sun rise and set over the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few places in the world where you can do that
Mhm.
over like the open ocean water too, not
Yeah. Yeah.
like a lake. And yeah, I sat out there with the freaking Nikon for an hour to get the shots. Totally worth it. I regret nothing. I mean, that's what Hawaii's for, but also
Right.
impossible to take a bad picture in Hawaii. Like you can't do it. It doesn't, you could bring a broken camera that doesn't work and put your thumb over the lens and it'll still be an amazing picture. I don't know how that works, but anyway, what'd you think of your big, you get all three. You get all three of what you wanted. How was it?
Yeah, I liked it. You tied everything together there. Yeah, you mentioned that when you get one of the three, you get the other two thrown in. And that's
Yeah, it's weird. You just have to
good.
buy one
And
of them, and I think
yeah,
that's one of those patterns, right? Like once you get into that thought pattern that this is a possible thing in the world or a possible way to
right.
be in the world or something that possibly
Mhm.
exists in the world, then it just infects your brain and
Yeah. And you've done a good job illustrating the eldritch horrors that attended that.
good. Yeah, I did a list.
So
I'm like, "Ooh, a
yeah,
list.
yeah.
I like lists. 10 items." Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Mhm. Yeah, probably one of the most famous individual characters in literature will say is Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't reintegrate until he stops using the ring, basically.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and he integrates through pure submission at first.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't come up with that. I wasn't thinking to link it to movies. I don't think in movies. Some people do, like Jesse thinks in movies, right? And I
Well,
I
yeah.
don't
I
I
was
don't
thinking
at
more of
all.
the books than the movies, but yes. But
I don't think in books at all.
yeah,
It's like,
well,
well, it's so funny. It's so funny. So like, they were talking about the uh that that Mandela phenomena, where
yeah.
people misremember things, and then he's going through all these examples, and all the 80% of the examples are just you don't have an eidetic memory, and so you don't remember the exact phrasing. And I'm kind of like, that's like the entire population. Almost nobody has an eidetic memory. Almost nobody.
Right. Yeah.
And that always, that kind of annoyed me. But then also, the way I interact with propositions, like, I can very rarely quote anything from a book. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I have exact quotes. I can pull out a Peterson quote here and there. But I don't remember word for word things at all on purpose, because I just integrate them into a pattern. So, like, I know where to find things. I don't remember I read that somewhere. I saw that in some show, and I can do the reference, but I can't always pull up the reference myself. I can just say, oh, you have to go see this, or, oh, Jordan Peterson said this and not the meaning. That's the best I can usually do. And so it's sort of puzzling to me that anybody would be like, oh, you don't have a perfect memory. I'm like, really, genius? I know very few people with even half decent memories, but why
Right.
So yeah, I don't link things together in that way. I link things concept to concept. That's why, like, you guys have an easier time, because you're not linking the concepts together. You're linking the concepts back to stories. And I think part of the problem is I didn't read that. I purposely, like, people talk about, like, the great books of Western canon. I purposely didn't read any of them. I had to read one Shakespeare play. One. Julius Caesar. Ye bricks, ye stones, ye worse than senseless things. There you go. That's the first line. Said Flavius to Morales, I think. That's it. There you go, though. That's as close to exact quoting as I can get. And that was, sophomore year of high school at Lowell High. And I didn't, which is good. Dude, iambic pentameter makes me want to murder every single human on this planet. It drives me absolutely insane. When I was young, I would just be in a rage all day. I'm like, I hate this. Hate it. Terrible. Now I can write poems that rhyme, no problem. I just despise iambic pentameter. Despise it. Don't know why. Still don't like it. Still grates on me.
So I have to ask.
Not friends.
Yeah.
Not friends.
So I have to ask you about that abominable verse that I wrote on your Discord a while ago, if you remember.
Not right now. What was it?
I took a bunch of deplorable phrases and put them roughly into iambic pentameter.
Oh,
and posted it on your Discord.
Yes.
So.
Yes. I remember that. Yes. Well, I remember some traumatic event around that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it all gets covered up. And yeah, oh man, it's just, there's so many better ways to rhyme things than iambic pentameter. And
well, iambic pentameter isn't even about rhyming. It's about it's
more rhythm.
The stress on the syllables.
Yeah.
Which was interesting writing that thing, because a lot of the words are not iambic. And so you have to, like, shift them around in the sentence to make it
work. Right.
To make it iambic. So
yeah. I don't know. I had a poem I wrote when I was like 15 or something. And the title of the poem is That Time Washed Not Our Love Away. And that's the cadence for the whole poem. That's the rhythm for the whole poem. And I must have a copy of it somewhere, but I haven't even memorized that. Like, I'm terrible at memorization. Sometimes I can do The Tiger, William Blake's The Tiger, because that's my favorite poem, but I really have to work at it. I need a refresher. It's easier if I read it. But sometimes I can do it. Every once in a while, it'll pop into my head, and when that's the other thing, because I see patterns, I know when things are right and wrong, even if I can't recall the exact details.
Mhm.
That's the advantage. Like, I don't need the exact details. And then I can also do, is it close enough? Which a lot of people can't do any of that. And I'm always puzzled at the rest of you humans. Like, how do you live? I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. One of the poems I might want to try memorizing is the One Fine Day in the Middle of the Night.
Who's
Which
that?
is it's an old series of rhymes about self-contradictory statements through the whole thing.
Oh. Cool.
One fine day in the middle of the night, the two dead boys got up to fight, and on and on.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand any of that stuff because a lot of people just engaged with things that we'll say was for children as though it was for adults, and vice versa, right? That giving adult things to children and expect them to understand it, we'll say correctly, but they can't, and so
Right.
it ends up corrupting their view of the world, roughly speaking, and it's terrible.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, short and stout, I'll tell you a tale I know nothing about. Admission's free, so pay at the door, pull up a chair, and sit on the floor.
I see.
But,
Yeah. There was a lot of that. Is that Victorian?
Something like that. I don't know it. I found it online, and it was not attributed to unknown authors that's been around forever or something. So.
Oh, really? Well, it could be, just old oral tradition of entertaining children and getting them to see. I think the problem is that children need to be formed to recognize absurdity. Because if they're not, then they're agnostic, atheist, non-binary, social justice warriors, which is just like boy word salad, say nothing to the nth degree. Right. And I think that's part of the problem. Like they don't see the absurdity in being agnostic, atheist, non-binary, social justice warrior. They don't see it. And I'm like, but all of that is actually wrong. Like all of it. Like there's no part of that that isn't incorrect. That's amazing. Like on the one, and they don't see the beauty. Like they don't appreciate the beauty in that. Like, wow, you can be that absurd all at once. Because they don't see the absurdity. And so to them, it's an identity. I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe absurdity is anti-identity. And because we're having an identity problem, we don't see it.
I think that makes sense.
Maybe I should do identity on my next live stream. I don't think I've done identity before. And I could do the well, we did individualism, so the next logical thing actually is identity.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we've resolved that already.
There we go.
Well, there you go. Now you gave me 4 in a row by accident. Yeah. Well, that's good. Now we have the next live stream topic is going to be identity. And we'll contrast it with absurdity. And yeah, I mean, maybe we stopped training children in the absurd and started training them in the rational all the time. And they can't tell the difference because there's no discernment. And that's what screwed them up. Boy, that seems really likely now that I think about it that way. That would be a shame if we did something that retarded, but also pretty retarded.
That's one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the children's songs are very similar in form to the Irish drinking songs.
Oh.
will do that. There's the one that's the Irish pub crawl song, and basically the whole chorus is you just list you're just adding on to the list of the taverns that they went to, whatever. It's the last names of the people who went in. So they get up to 12 of them, and you got your note. And that's, kid songs do that too, where you have it's a repeated thing.
Yep.
A simple repeated thing that gets, more complex or whatever as you keep going.
Right.
Or you do like BINGO and you just take out one letter in the.
Yep.
Take out one letter at a time, and yeah.
Yeah, or the Erie Canal song. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. Just one more trip and back we'll go. Through the rain and sleet and snow, 'cause we know every inch of the way from Albany to Buffalo. Whoa. And then they do a real verse, and then it's back to that, and then it's a different verse, right? And then it's back, and it's like, oh, and that's to pass the time while you're doing this boring, repetitive, you're on a canal boat being towed by a donkey, and you're going from Albany to Buffalo.
Right.
On a canal, right? And so, yeah, you can see the way in which that would work. And you've got, children on the bus, 19 bottles of beer on the wall, right?
Right.
Take one down, pass it around, or maybe they use soda on the bus.
Right.
Take one down, pass it around, right? And they're just counting down. But it helps them to pass the time while they're doing and be in communion, because singing is a type of communion. Right. Right. And and I sort of talked about that in the book, this book right here, which is for sale. You can buy one of these. I talk about, the importance of having standardized greetings and stuff, like almost ritualistic ways of interacting over and over again, because it helps to commune, to knit things together. Yeah, and I think that's really important. Super important, actually. But that maybe the lack of training kids, will say, to recognize absurdity, to be in absurdity, so that they, this is absurd and fun, but also absurd. It causes them to have an identity crisis later, because they can't tell a valid from an invalid identity, roughly speaking.
Right. Well, if you stop thinking of education as formation and try to do something else with it, you're going to cause a lot of problems. So.
Well, and also it's probably tied to B.F. Skinner, and it's so annoying to me. I was like, B.F. Skinner was wrong about this. Like, he was right about a bunch of stuff, but this thing he was totally wrong about, and he knows he's wrong about it by experimentation, positive feedback. Oh, we'll just tell the kids what they need to know or what they should know. And it's like, well, and that's, so the closest I've ever gotten to understanding what people are talking about when they say propaganda is this one formula. If they're only giving you the upside to something and not the bad news or the downside, then it's propaganda. And maybe that's not good enough or whatever, because I don't think it is, but that's probably the closest you're going to get. Everything else is a post hoc judgment. From what I can tell, when they say propaganda, it's all like a judgment they're making after the fact. It's nothing you could have seen in the moment.
That was a history book that I went over in school, gave that definition of propaganda. Like, propaganda is like only telling you the good things. And it was a history book and saying that, these other countries were doing propaganda and only telling people the good things, when this book had very obviously only said good things about the U.S. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, most of the definitions of propaganda, I'm like, that sounds like something that you have to do anyway. It doesn't sound like, like it just sounds like you're communicating something positive to people. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Right. I mean,
what wouldn't qualify? Oh, not see, because I'm dyslexic, so I ask those questions just come up immediately because I have to know, because otherwise the dyslexia switches things around. So I always have to ask questions via negativa in order to figure out like where I'm at. Because if I don't do that, I get caught up in getting things backwards. So yeah, it's interesting to me that I see things like that, right? I see things like that clearly when they're not properly differentiated from, we'll say, everything else, right? Or not properly differentiable, right? Propaganda is a prime example. It's just one man's propaganda is another man's truth, right? Like, what are we talking about? If that's the case,
mhm.
then it's an arbitrary label. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it's not really an identification, it's a judgment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then they go, well, lies. And I'm like, but we have a word for lies. It's called lies. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do you need a new
Right. I
word?
mean,
I don't understand. Like, what are you doing? I don't get it.
mhm. Yeah. Well, you want to say it's lies because that's probably like a trying to tie it to something objective.
Right.
So,
Well, what you do when you say something is a lie is you are differentiating your opinion of something, or trying to, from, an objective material reality frame. So you're taking something out of the realm of your opinion. You're saying, "This is my opinion. This is a
mhm.
lie," and then you're shoving it in objective material reality, which of course doesn't exist, and as a way of gaining authority over it, right? Because if you just say, "Well, in my opinion, they're lying about Epstein," it's like, well, and you are like, why should I listen to you? But if you say, "No, no, no, that's a lie, what they're saying about Epstein," it's like, well, okay, but under what authority, right? So, but you've
Mhm.
distanced yourself from it while maintaining the claim, and it's
Right.
very
Yeah.
clever. It's very clever. But you need that objective material reality to be an individual in, and
Mhm.
it's very sneaky that people they don't even you can't see it because again, you're stuck in your perspective. And once you're stuck in your perspective, which you were born stuck in, you don't always know where you're standing. Uh, it gets tricky.
Mhm.
That's why you need a
That was
community of
yeah.
people around you,
Yeah.
right?
That was
Yep.
the other thing I thought of is people are out in this, the objectivity, individualist materialism. That's like you had the video about the dock the
Mm,
people are standing on, and you take the pillars out.
yeah.
Yeah, and so people like get into like whatever perspective they have or things they have from this, objective material reality individualism thing. And what you need to do when people are out on that dock is you need another dock for them to get on.
Right. Right. Or you need to entice them off of that dock.
Right. You need to
So
get them off of that somehow.
right.
And you can't just do the thing. You can't just like knock them off of the dock, knock the dock out from underneath them.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't. I say, I understand
Right.
that these boards fit together. I get that because that's the problem. They're like, look, there's a floor. It's been built. And I'm like, wait, but the floor
Yeah.
rests on something. And that something ain't there. So what I do is I try to extend the dock and show them that extending the dock always drowns them, right? So I always say, all right, but
Mhm.
let's carry the argument to its logical conclusion. And most people can't do it. They can't follow you there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because that person has an argument that always appeals to that level of intellect, that level of cognition. And
Mhm.
so they can't go past it. But some of them can. Some of them do. Some of them think about it and then they're like, oh. Right? And then they go,
Right.
aha.
Yeah. Well, the point is trying to give them a thing that is not on that dock to step onto.
Right. Or again, entice them back onto the shore.
Yeah. Right.
That's
or onto this.
a better tactic by saying,
Right. Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
if you stay on this dock, you're going to have to go forward into the water because these will slant down or drop down into the water eventually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they don't have a solid foundation. And so that's how I do it typically. That's been the most of it. It's not terribly effective. It's just the most effective method I've ever seen. So
Right.
that's why I use it. I use the thing that I've seen works the best. You use the thing you've seen that works the best. I don't care. But yeah, I mean that's because if they can be convinced by an argument, extending that argument so you're not in any kind of opposition or disagreement to them is the best way. And again, it's not going to work in a lot of cases because people can only handle so much logical extension to an argument, and then they just lose track or whatever. That's why the pillars are gone and they didn't notice after all. So
Right.
but sometimes it does work, and it's just remarkably more effective than all the other methods I've seen. So yeah, you want to get individuals out of individualism, extend the dock. It's like you probably haven't been over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which is an amazing experience. It's 2 tunnels and 3 bridges. So over the Chesapeake Bay. So you get onto this thing and you look at the bridge and you realize at some point there's no more bridge and it's just water. And you start to wonder, have you made a grave mistake? What is going to happen when I get to the end of this bridge? And then it just turns out the bridge goes into a tunnel. And it's like, oh, thank goodness for this. And then that happens again. But when you're looking out over the thing, you're like, well, maybe this is my last day on this earth because this bridge doesn't go anywhere. It just ends at the water. But it's an amazing experience. Like if you ever get a chance to do it, oh my goodness. I ended up there once at sunset, and I watched sunset over the water to the west on the East Coast. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, there's a little rest area over there where you can just pull in and watch the sunset over the Chesapeake Bay, and it's about the most amazing thing ever. And they closed the restaurant that was there, but there used to be a restaurant on one of the little islands. And right at where you come out of the tunnel or go into the tunnel, depending on which way you're going. And the first time I went over there, we happened to get there at sunset and watched the sunset over Chesapeake Bay while eating dinner.
Yeah.
It was nice. Doesn't begin to describe it. It was amazing. And then I haven't been able to do it since because they closed the damn thing. And they're like, they've destroyed the island. It's everything's under construction because it used to be a little rest area that you could just stop at, The whole thing's under construction now. And it's like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Talking about the tunnel going into the water there's flying into Sitka, Alaska, especially you come from the one end of the runway, you get like the plane goes down, especially before they extended the runway. The plane will go down and you don't see the runway. You just see that you're getting really close to the water before the plane hits the runway at the one end of it there. So
yeah. There's a train from Boston to New York that I took once with my uncle just to go to the ELO concert when they first went to New York City. And at one point it goes out over this bay on a bridge that's basically right over the water. It's not up high at all. And so you're just looking like there's water on both sides. There's no land. The train looks like it's going over the water magically, levitating. Yeah, it's really wild, and it's such a pretty train ride because for most of it you get to see the ocean, or not, maybe not most of it, but for a lot of it, once you get down into Connecticut, you hit the coast, and you're just going train. You're on a train right next to the ocean, basically. It's kind of neat. And then when you go into New York City, you're coming into the city, and then all of a sudden, like, some buildings, it's kind of, a little overwhelming. And then you drop into a tunnel into Penn Station. And I think I don't know how long the tunnel is, but it's a long tunnel underground before the train is in the station. The station's underground, so you're still underground when you get off the train. And it's beautiful. It's really interesting. And there's a lot of stuff like that. But see, and people don't recognize any of that. Like Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, I think, was a 1930s project, right? So who built that? How many people, right? How long did it take? Like what allocation, right? And they go, well, the government's evil and they're taking my tax money. And I'm like, take all my tax money. Just give me the Bay Bridge Tunnel, please. Because my goodness, what an experience, take all my tax money, give me Penn Station and a tunnel into it and the train over the water. And because I'm not an individual. Like a bunch of people built a bunch of stuff, and I'm here taking advantage of it, and I'm grateful for most of it. When I remember to be, and that's a better way to be, because then you're not, taxation is theft, and you don't run into these problems that a lot of people get stuck in.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the thing with the Epstein files and people demanding action and mad that it's not happening, and they're
Well,
they're ignoring like any hierarchy in it.
well,
It's
they don't know how any of this works. Like I said, like,
right.
how are you going to look at emails and letters and find out that a physical crime in the physical world was committed with enough evidence to go after the people involved? Like, people
Right,
admit
but
to crimes all the time on Facebook, and most of them are lying. But you can't go after,
mhm,
in the United States, you can't go after somebody for a post on Facebook. You can't. It might
right.
spark an investigation, but if that investigation, like, only has an email to go on, it ain't going nowhere. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but, like, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Mhm,
Eh, w w "Oh, I did this horrible thing to this person, um, while I was on your island," or whatever, and it's like, well, okay, what's the jurisdiction of the island and what laws are in place? And,
mhm.
are we sure the person didn't consent? I mean, right, like, what do we do? Like, I don't
Right.
understand why these people thought anything was gonna happen. And then they're like, "Well, look at all these horrible crimes and all this child trafficking." It's like, the people who traffic children are in jail. Like, what more do you want? "Oh, we wanna get all these other people." It's like, well, they didn't do the trafficking. Like, maybe
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did other things, but they didn't do the trafficking. Now what? What are you expecting to happen? I legitimately don't understand what these people thought was gonna happen.
Well, I mean, everybody's I've seen who has talked about reading the emails has seen basically evidence of what they thought was already there. So,
Yeah, 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 it's all
and
confirmation bias, yeah.
yeah, and they're all mad that everybody else isn't seeing the same thing and reacting like they are.
That's the
So,
individualism, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, you know the whole thing about they're eating children? They've admitted that they're eating children. Did you see any of that?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Well, the problem is the emails they're quoting are referring to a restaurant called Cannibals in New York City.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course, it had these, you know, funny, menu items on it and stuff. And it's
Right.
like,
Right.
maybe not all the emails are referring to that, but again, how are you gonna prove a crime's been committed when you have that situation?
Hmm.
Like, how am I supposed to interpret these damn emails, guys? Like, I don't understand. Like, And then when you point out Epstein's a Me Too victim, oops, like now what? Because all the Me Too stuff was, if not outright fabrication, and a lot of it was outright fabrication, it was at least massively over exaggerated. So you've got these women, or at least one woman in particular, who's massively over exaggerated things, and then in court already had to admit she lied about those things. It's like, what? Well, she's not a reliable witness, but you've built your entire narrative on her statements, and now you're looking to the emails to confirm it. And it's like, this is bad because she was lying. And so what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about? Why are we even, like, what's going on? Like, I don't even understand. Like, what were you expecting that was going to happen when you believed a liar all those years ago, and then subsequently she got in trouble for lying, which, you shouldn't have believed anyway, because it believe all women. Really? No, you need to be a little more selective than all women.
Right.
Drug addicts are usually bad people to believe, by the way. Really bad idea. They can't even keep track of the last time they snorted coke, man. These are not reliable people. Yeah, it's not good. It's not pretty.
Yeah. So.
So what else is on your mind?
We've got to get the game finished setting up for play testing tomorrow night.
Awesome.
That'll be fun.
I'm super excited. I can't wait. That'll be good. And you got everything you need, and you're just ready to rock and roll?
Pretty much, yeah. I set everything up tonight, and so tomorrow night I get everything ready,
Cool.
have everything ready to pull out tomorrow night and set it up and say, okay, now we're playing this game. And
how many people you got?
I'll have at least 3, I think.
Oh, cool.
To play. So
that's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'll be able to do that and get feedback from them about it and see what we can do it from there. So
awesome. Super excited. Super excited. That's great. You listen to any interesting videos lately? I know we've got a couple in important videos now.
No, I haven't listened. Not really, I don't think.
Yeah, it's been
I want to listen to that Jonathan Peugeot one about the void or whatever.
Void, yeah, that was really good, actually. A lot of it, and then he defended postmodernism and yeah, just
he's still too Protestant, probably.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he blamed the Enlightenment, and then listed the French, and I'm like, do you guys really not see what's going on here? The Scottish Enlightenment is good, and the French Enlightenment is bad, and it's really that simple. And
well, even that they're not the same thing, really.
Right. Yeah, right. They're also should probably not be labeled in with the same moniker, because
right.
They almost have no overlap. One built a successful country, and the other built the Marquis de Sade. So you made a really good point about that too, which I have to chew on that. I'm like, oh no, this is fascinating. I didn't even see that. Like, wow, what does that mean? Like, I haven't even it hasn't soaked in yet. So I don't know how to parse the relationship between like the void and what he was talking about with sadomasochism. I was like, wow, this is.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot.
It's yeah, it's a good video. I listened to most of it twice, actually. I listened to the second half twice today.
Okay.
Yeah, the second half gets harder to follow. I recommend taking notes. But yeah, I was trying to nail down exactly all the things I didn't like in it, which was really just the two things I listed ultimately. But yeah, I got to chew through that. I might have to chew through it again. It's pretty delicious, tasty treat. So yeah, the other video, Mature Peugeot and Grim Grizz, is a complete mess. Although,
I mean, it's
also,
Grim Grizz, so it's going to be a mess dealing with him, I think. So
yeah, it's pretty horrible. It's pretty bad. So I don't know. I got a bunch of clips from that one, and they're just like what the last one I did just before I came on, because I wanted to get it done and out of the way. That it's just like, yeah, no, really said that.
I haven't watched
Not a
that one
good
yet,
thing.
just because.
Yeah, obviously. No, I posted
Yeah.
it like 2 minutes before I went on or something. I was hell bent on I wanted that off my mental
Right,
chalkboard.
right.
I was like, no, I gotta finish this video, get that other clip, and just run away from this so that I can have a clear head for my live stream, because that's actually, yeah, there's all kinds of prep that I go into for this. So, because I try to give it as much time, energy, and attention as I can. So
Yeah, that
yeah.
was. Well, another thing was a phrase that Father Eric used in the Nefarious video was participating in the life of the church,
Yeah.
which was an interesting thing contrast to a lot of Protestantism. They just talk about, your personal relationship with Jesus, which
Right.
throws you into an individualism when that's your primary focus,
Yep.
which was.
Yep. Also, did you see the book club, the Father Eric book club with Roxanne?
Oh yeah, I did watch that one. That was good.
The road sign. I had an hour and a half mini book club with Castle today, because we got into a big spat, like probably the biggest disagreement we've ever had.
Oh,
Yeah. I was furious. It was funny. Castle had to leave. Like, someone's here to pick me up. I have to go. He did not want to go. He wanted to hash it out. And then I was talking to Ginger Bill, and Ginger Bill's like, that's 3 category errors. And I was like, even Ginger Bill can figure this out. Right? But Catholics can't see it at all, because they have all these preconceived notions about how to resolve the billboard statement that Jesus created you. And I'm like, no, you're not undertaking. Forget about the theological accuracy, even though also not true. And I showed him how it was not true theologically. You can't tell people that, because they're in individualism hardcore, and they'll never get out. There's no way. So I had this whole formula I gave him. I said, I bet. I haven't done all the math, but I bet if you go to a Pentecostal church and you count the number of times they say God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and then you go to some Calvinist church and you count the same 3 things, and you go to a Catholic church, you count the same 3 things, I think you're going to see a pattern. And I think you're going to hear a lot of Holy Spirit in Pentecostalism. I think you're going to hear a lot of Jesus in the Calvinist church. And I think you're going to hear way more God in the Catholic church. Or it'll be balanced, but it won't be balanced in the other 2 churches. And that should tell you something. Now, I haven't done the experiment, but I've been to all 3 kinds of churches, and I'm telling you, I'm fairly sure that's going to happen. So, yeah. The Castle finally saw it. It just took me an hour and a half. Now, in addition to the 45 minutes, or maybe it was an hour that, before that, right? Just to get into the argument. But he finally saw it. He said, "Oh my goodness, how they're thinking about the world in this way, and I can't even imagine thinking about the world in this way." And I'm like, "No, you can't.
Right.
You have better framing. They have no framing." That's what happens when you take words out of context.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was the big problem. But I'm glad I got it resolved for him because I thought it was important.
Yeah, I know there's this whole branch of the Pentecostals that are just like, they're called like oneness Pentecostals, I think, or something, but it's all about Jesus. That was the big thing, is like you have to be baptized only in Jesus' name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's-
Well, that's what I was explaining. I
But-
mean, the minute you make Jesus the creator, you destroy the Trinity. And it's all done at that point because there's no reason to talk about God as, we'll say, greater than or different from, right? It all becomes
right,
equal.
yeah.
And then if it's all equal, what difference does it make if you're talking about the Holy Spirit, Jesus, or God, since it's all the same
Right,
thing?
yeah.
No, it's not the same thing. Related. They have a quality of a relationship, but it's not the same thing. And yeah,
Right,
that
right,
was,
yeah.
and the Catholics never make the mistake because they they have the formation. So they're like, no, no,
Right,
no, no, we
yeah.
understand this complex relationship. But the
Mhm.
Protestants don't have that formation, so they don't understand the relationship, so they just flatten it with the propositions. And oh, of course, if you tell them that, they're going to destroy the Trinity eventually. Like, how else do you
Mhm.
get non-Trinitarian Protestant churches? It's like, are you a church at that point? I don't understand.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, Orthodox Christianity has been Trinitarian for at least 1,000 years now. So
Right.
if you're
Right.
if you're a Christian and not Trinitarian, you're basically have to be a heretic. So
Yeah, that's what I would say. Well, only if you're teaching. If you're not teaching, it's fine.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, it just yeah, it's very frustrating. Orthodoxy for the win, and too bad the Anglicans destroyed their own church instantaneously in the most sort of what do I want to call it? Extravagant possible way. Like, just amazing. Just amazing. I'm like, how did you destroy your church that quickly? That's remarkable. Like, that is record time to destroy such an old institution. You just wiped it out in like 5 full minutes or something insane. Very good. Very good. Yeah, now it's already 2 churches. It's like, oh, and they lost all their
Yep.
members.
Mhm.
Yeah, the new church is in Africa, and they want nothing to do with the original Anglican church at
Mhm.
all. They're like, "Oh, nope, cut off.
Yeah.
See you, bye." It's sad. It does make me cry. But anyway,
Mhm.
let's end it here. You get any closing thoughts for individualism, my friend?
You're not an individual, so don't stop trying to be one.
Sound advice. Sound advice.
Sounds
Yeah. And then we're looking forward to the game test. That'll be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the very hard, as I said, I mean, I give tips for getting out of it, right? In the monologue. It's very hard for people to understand that if you're an individual, it's going to be much harder, or if you try to be an individual, for you to be better. But
Mhm.
the world needs you, so be better. And if you're better and you're not an individual, then you understand that the world will get better just as the result of you getting better. And that's all you have to do. Like, it may be the minimum required amount, but at least it gives you a path to making the world a better place. Is just dropping the individualism entirely. And then, you can engage better. So, yeah, I guess next week we are going to talk about identity and the contrast with absurdity and that importance. That's going to be fun to think about all week. And I have a whole week to think about it. That's a plus.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun to explore. So thank you for that. Christopher. I appreciate this, and I appreciate the 3 weeks off you gave me from having to do hard work on the live streams, because it's much easier with topics like objectivism, materialism, and individualism, since I've just been talking about them nonstop for 6 years at this point, just about. So yeah, that just made life easy. So we'll look forward to your report about the game testing. I know Sally Joe's absolutely thrilled, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Take care of yourself and each other, and I will talk to you about identity next week. So have fun and behave, and see you then.